Hello, family. Welcome back to Rooted and Rising. My name is Olainka Falashe. I'll be your host. Today, we'll be talking about the topic when help isn't helping. Okay, let's talk. Have you ever tried so hard to help somebody that somehow you ended up making the situation worse? Mhm. And before you start thinking, oh, she's talking about somebody else. Nope, I'm not. I'm talking about all of us. Because some of us have PhD in giving advice nobody requested. Somebody says, I'm really having a hard day, a really hard day. And before they can finish the sentence, we're already, okay, here's what you need to do. And then we dish out advice. Wait, they didn't even ask you a question. But most of the time, we mean well, we care, we want to protect people. Um, we want to save them from mistakes we already made. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if the way we're helping isn't actually helping? When helping becomes fixing, there's a difference between helping someone and trying to control the outcome. Helping says, how can I support you? Fixing says, here's what you're going to do. And sometimes we don't even realize we've crossed that line, especially when we love somebody. Because when you love somebody, you don't want to watch them walk straight towards a wall you've already warned them about. You're standing there like, I told you that was a wall. But sometimes people have to bump into their own wall. You can give them advice, you can share your experience, you can tell somebody what you will do, but you cannot live their life for them. And that's hard because sometimes we want somebody to make the decision we think is right, but it's their life. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone discover their own answer. Not everything needs a solution. Sometimes people don't want advice. Sometimes they want somewhere to put their feelings. They want to say, I'm exhausted. And instead of, well, you need to fill in the gap. Sometimes they just need, I know that's a lot, but because let's be honest, sometimes we are uncomfortable watching people we love hurt. So we rush into fix it. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. You need to do this. Have you tried that? And before you know it, you've given them a TED talk, 3 YouTube links, and 5-step plan. And they're sitting there thinking, I literally just wanted to vent. We've either done it or had it done to us. So here's a simple question that can save a lot of unnecessary conversations. Do you want me to listen or do you want my advice? If they say, I just need you to listen, then listen. If they say, tell me what you think, okay, now you've got permission. But even then, remember, your advice is an opinion. It's not a court order. Someone says, you hurt me. Now let's talk about difficult conversations because this is where emotional maturity gets tested. Because someone says, that hurt me. What's your first reaction? Do you listen? Or do you immediately start defending yourself because our inner lawyer can wake up fast? Someone says, you hurt my feelings. And your brain goes, objection. Before they are finished talking, we're already gathering evidences. Okay, but on Tuesday, you did this. So don't forget the last month, you did that. And suddenly we're not even having a conversation anymore. We're holding a court. Your Honor, I would like to introduce Exhibit A from 2019, Exhibit B from 2020. Seriously, sometimes we respond someone's pain by defending our intentions. We say, I didn't mean to hurt you. And maybe that's true. But here's the thing, your intention doesn't erase someone's experience. You can say, I didn't intend to hurt you, but I understand that I did. That's accountability. You don't have to say you're a terrible person. You don't have to convince them they are completely wrong. You can simply say, help me understand. And that opens a completely different door. Listening is harder than it looks. We all want people to listen to us, but we are actually good listeners. Because listening isn't sitting quietly while somebody talks to you. Can eventually respond. That's called waiting for your turn. Real listening means trying to understand. Sometimes it means asking, tell me more. What happened? How did that make you feel? Or simply, I didn't realize you felt that way. You don't have to immediately have the perfect answer. Sometimes people don't need an answer. They need to know I'm safe enough to tell you the truth. And that's powerful. But silence isn't always the answer. Now, I don't want us to take this message and turn it into, well, I'm just going to stop talking. No. Sometimes you absolutely need to speak. You need to set a boundary. You need to tell the truth. You need to say, that isn't okay with me. You need to apologize. You need to have the uncomfortable conversation, because silence can be wisdom, but silence can also be avoidance. Here's the difference between I need a little time to calm down so I can have this conversation properly, and I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to deal with it. One is emotional regulation, the other is avoidance. And avoiding a problem doesn't make it disappear, it actually gives it time to grow. Yep. You can't want more for someone than they want for themselves. This one is hard, especially when you love somebody. You can see their potential. You can see the mistake they're about to make. You can see the opportunity they are missing. And you're thinking, if you would just listen to me. But eventually, you have to understand, you cannot want something for someone more than they want for themselves. You can encourage, you can support, you can warn, you can also share your experience, but you cannot make another adult choose what you believe is best. And sometimes loving someone means stepping back. Not because you don't care, but because you understand. Their life is theirs to live. So what does real help look like? Maybe helping isn't always doing more. Maybe helping means listening. Maybe it means asking questions. Maybe it means giving someone a bit of space. Maybe it means telling the truth. Maybe it means setting a boundary. And sometimes, maybe it means absolutely doing nothing. Just being there. Because not every problem needs to be solved today. Not every emotion needs to be corrected. Not every disagreement needs a winner. And not every person needs you to rescue them. Sometimes people need the opportunity to discover, I can handle this. And sometimes we need to learn, I don't have to carry this for them. A little self-check. So, I'm not going to leave you with this list of things everyone else needs to change. Let's just turn this mirror towards ourselves. Ask yourself, do I listen to understand, or do I listen to respond? Do I give advice because someone asked for it, or because I feel uncomfortable watching them struggle? Can I hear criticism without immediately defending myself? Can I apologize without adding a whole paragraph explaining why I did it? And here's the big one. Can I help someone without needing to control the outcome? Because That one might make us sit quietly for a minute. In closing, maybe growing isn't always about learning how to say more. Maybe it's learning how to listen better. Sometimes someone needs your advice. Sometimes they need your honesty. Sometimes they just need your support. Sometimes they need your boundary. And sometimes they just need somewhere to be safe, to fall apart for 5 minutes. You don't have to have the perfect words. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to make the pain disappear. Sometimes you can simply say, I am here, and I mean it. Because maybe real growth is becoming the person who knows when to speak, when to listen, when to ask a question, and when to let go. And maybe that's what healthy love looks like. Not rescuing, not controlling, not fixing, just showing up, just with compassion, with boundaries, and with enough humility to understand I don't always know what's best for someone else. And honestly, that's a hard lesson. We don't. But it's a freeing one. Until next time, this is Rooted and Rising. We're all learning, we're all growing, we're all figuring how to communicate better, love better, listen better, and protect our own peace. So stay rooted, keep rising, and the next time someone comes to you with a problem, maybe don't immediately grab your toolbox. Maybe sit down first, ask a question, and listen and see what they actually need. Because sometimes helping isn't about doing more, it's about knowing what the other person actually needs and knowing what or when it's okay to let them carry their own life.